Should a husband prioritize his wife or his mother? Why does she make everything about patriarchy? I know at this point some of you who are watching this are going to be like, what is she on? How is this patriarchy? Hello, good morning, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know me, I'm divijabhasin, also known as Awkward Goat 3 on Instagram. I'm a psychologist and content creator. These are my qualifications. And these are my Instagram pages. Awkward Goat is my main page. This is Candlelit is my small jewelry business with my parents. We sell real silver jewelry. The Friendly Couch is my therapy business. We offer therapy sessions with psychologists from my team. Feel free to check out all of these pages. Okay, now that all my self-promotion is over, let's get into the video. Wait, something is missing. Oh yes, my emotional support goat. Hold on. Cool, now we're all set. Say hi. His name is Mahesh and he's quite awkward. Now, before you watch my video, please keep in mind that I hate patriarchy. I don't hate men, I hate patriarchy and patriarchal men. So I was scrolling on Instagram and I came across this reel and it made me so uncomfortable.
क्या लगता है कि एक हस्बैंड को अपनी वाइफ को प्रायोरिटाइज करना चाहिए या अपनी मदर को?
अपनी मदर, क्योंकि बचपन के साथ माँ के साथ जो भावनाएं जुड़ी होती है ना, वो चीज़ें वाइफ के साथ मेरा मानना है कि नहीं जुड़ी होती।
मदर को, क्योंकि वो एक तो हमें पाल पोस के इतना बड़ा करते हैं, फिर हमारी जब बारी आती है तो हमारा भी फर्ज बनता है ना उनके लिए कुछ करने का।
Their reactions definitely made me quite uncomfortable, but my actual problem is with the video and the people who made it. More specifically, people who wrote the script and decided on this question. What kind of a person comes up with such questions? Why is this even a question? It's actually quite funny because men are told to choose between their wife and their mother, while women are made to choose between a man and a bear. Anyway, it's almost as if they decided on this question to make the video controversial and not actually contribute anything. With such questions, it's almost as if you're setting people up to say controversial things so that you get views. Look, I'm a content creator and I understand views are super important and it's okay to be controversial, but it's not okay to be problematic. And being problematic for views, that's not cool. Should a husband prioritize his wife or his mother? In psychology, we call this type of question a leading question. It's a kind of question that the people who are asking, they want you to answer it in a particular way and they can just expect what the answer is going to be. It's almost like manipulation. Like if I ask you if you like goats, that's a leading question. A better question would be, what kind of animal do you like? Because if I ask you if you like goats, you might be under some kind of pressure to answer in a particular way. Similarly, a better question in this whole situation of wife and mother would be, okay, no, this topic is really strange. I actually cannot think of a better or ethical way of asking this question because the question itself is so flawed and unethical. A better question would have actually just been, do you like goats? So what is the answer to this question? Should you prioritize your mother or your wife? Let's break this down. Now, why is this question unethical? Because first of all, you would literally never see anyone asking a woman this question. Like, can you imagine someone asking a woman, do you prioritize your husband or your father? Do you realize how ridiculous this sounds? It sounded really ridiculous for me when I saw this reel. Maybe you didn't notice it or didn't realize how ridiculous it is. Most people wouldn't have. Not because most people are stupid, but because as a society we're used to seeing women being pitted against each other, especially this whole Saas Bahu narrative. It is so common that we don't notice or even question it. This question is actually super ridiculous because a wife and a mother are two wildly different relationships for most people. Like the relationship you have with your mother is mostly not going to be the same as the relationship you have with your wife. Notice how I said that it's not the same for most people? It's because for some people the relationship is the same. Yes, I'm talking about Sigmund Freud, but we'll discuss this later in the video. Coming back to the question, should you prioritize your wife or your mother? It's problematic because there is an assumption that there is a comparison between the wife and the mother. Because if this assumption wasn't there, nobody would be asking this question. You don't go around asking people if they prioritize their dada or their chacha, right? No, because both of these are different relationships that are not related to each other. Both serve a different purpose in your life. Now, coming back to the assumption that there is a comparison between your wife and your mother if you're a man, the assumption comes from patriarchy. I know at this point, some of you who are watching this are going to be like, what is she on? How is this patriarchy? Why does she make everything about patriarchy? I don't. You do. The world does. Women just want to live life. But they aren't allowed to be themselves because of patriarchy. They can't wear what they want, go where they want, be who they want to be because of patriarchy. The world is patriarchal, and so is the way that we live. Our everyday life is also patriarchal. The fact that you're questioning what I'm saying without even hearing me out might also be patriarchal. Because if I wasn't a little girl with cute makeup on, and I was actually a bearded old man, you might just accept what I'm saying without even listening to the explanation. Because men know better. They're just more knowledgeable. I mean, I'm not saying that, that's what people think. So, what exactly is patriarchy? Does it just mean men? Nope. A system of society or government in which men hold the power and women are largely excluded from it. It's a way of living. Anyone who says patriarchy doesn't exist is just so oblivious to the existence of it that they cannot see a life different from a patriarchal one. This explains why people are so against the ideas of divorce, homosexuality, women earning, because they cannot imagine a life where patriarchy does not exist. Anyway, coming back to the discussion. How is this question patriarchal if it is about two women, a wife and a mother? To understand this, we need to talk about mainstream media. For years, we have been fed this narrative that women are really petty and they fight over trivial things. Their problems are so small and cute and funny and silly. Like fighting with your husband about how your outfit is looking and then getting angry when he's honest, or yelling at your daughter in law for not making chai properly. All the TV serials that people have been watching for years in India show this. For instance, Saath Nibhana Sathiya. Kokila, who is the mother in law, is seen as this overly strict woman who makes being a mother in law her entire personality and is overprotective about her son. So much so that she goes around bullying her daughter in law, Gopi. The TV show shows us that she tries to dominate Gopi and fights with Gopi over really stupid and silly stuff. Like Gopi not making her husband breakfast one day. Just one day, by the way. Because men are apparently completely incapable of making themselves breakfast for one day. Watch this.
आज एक प्याली चाय पीकर मेरा बेटा चला गया ऑफिस, दिन भर इतनी मेहनत करने के लिए। ये लड़कियां, इनको इतनी समझ नहीं है, पर मैं एक माँ होते हुए नजरअंदाज नहीं कर सकती हूँ। हाथ भी मत लगाना। गोपी बहू, घर में बहू को आरती उतारने के लिए नहीं लाया जाता। मैंने सोचा कि मैं अपने बेटे के लिए बहू लाई हूँ, तो वो अपने पति की चिंता करेगी, उसकी जिम्मेदारी उठाएगी। लेकिन तुम्हें तो अपने पति की चिंता ही नहीं है।
This TV serial is just one of the many examples where daughter-in-laws are pitted against mother-in-laws. For some reason, most Hindi TV serials show mother-in-laws like this. Scary, mean, assertive women who bully their daughter-in-laws over trivial issues. And they usually show women fighting over really silly stuff to show that women are dumb. While looking for this video, I came across the titles of other episodes. Kokila ने किया तमाशा breakfast table पर. Kokila orders Rashi to make छाछ. क्या राशि बनाएगी गोपी से बेहतर ढोकला? They all have this haha women are so dumb kind of vibe. That women overreact over stupid things. Reminds me of this quote of exchanging glances. It's sad. I am guilty of doing this too. Often father and daughter look down on mother or woman together. They exchange meaningful glances when she misses a point. They agree that she is not as bright as they are, cannot reason as they do. This collusion does not save the daughter from the mother's fate. And this narrative is widespread in real life too. Husband-wife jokes, for example, are usually about how wives are nagging their husbands over seemingly trivial issues and they're overreacting. Husband jokes are always about how their wives are nagging them and controlling them, when actually, husbands are the ones who control their wives. It's not the other way around. If you've ever met an uncle at a family event, you'll know what I'm talking about. They continuously joke about their wives being stupid. Like, haha, she was nagging me about how I didn't keep the fruit in the fridge. Or like, oh, haha, she's nagging me about how I eat too much sugar. Uncle, she is not overreacting. She just cares. But apparently, showing love and care in a relationship is just a very feminine and stupid thing according to the world. So we call it nagging. Coming back to the mother in law thing. Like I mentioned, this is seen in real life as well, especially in Indian families where the daughter in law lives with the mother and father in law. Look, I'm not going to deny that mother in laws are often actually like this, and this whole representation of them being mean bullies and dominating the daughter in law is a fake thing. It's not, it's real. So, how is this patriarchy? If the woman is at the forefront of the bullying, guess what? Patriarchy is not just followed by men, it's also followed by women and also the world. Because that's just how our society is now. It is really common to see in laws trying to control their son's wife in every possible way. They'll try to decide when she should have a baby, whether she should have a career or not, and to what extent her career should grow. They try to decide every single thing in their life for her. This also comes from the assumption that women are dumb and men need to make decisions for them. Let's not even make the mother in laws the villain here, even though that's what we all do. They probably went through the same thing when they were a daughter in law. Or should I say, क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू थी. And it is being passed down from family to family through generations, just like gold jewelry. The mean, bullying, patriarchal mother in laws are just representing what the men of the family believe. They believe that a woman should be controlled, and these TV serials portray the same thing. What's problematic is that they blame the whole thing on the mother in law. Now, if you're watching this, I'm sure you have a question in your mind. How does this awkward goat know that men also believe the same thing? If we only see mother in laws behaving this way, then why is she assuming that men of the family support her? How does she know that the main problem is not just the mother in law? Well, if the men had a problem, then they would have said something. They would stop the mother in law from mistreating the daughter in law. But they don't, because they support the mistreatment. It's not because they don't know how to speak up, it's because they support the mistreatment. Do you really believe that the same men who fight wars, solve business conflicts, lead countries, don't know how to stand up against the mother in law? These men are not subjugated by her. They support her. And as we know, the head of the family is usually a man. The same man who sits on this seat on the dining table and doesn't get up to take his own plates to the kitchen. Do you really think a man like that is being controlled by a woman? The mistreatment helps the younger generation of women to not speak up and to not grow as human beings. Because if the daughter in law is not mistreated, she might start to have her own opinions. Or something even worse, have a career and go outside the house. These type of families who mistreat their daughter-in-laws usually just want her to stay in the kitchen and become a baby-making machine. The mother-in-law controlling and mistreating the daughter-in-law is a great way to keep the patriarchy in the family for generations. So why does this stereotype of the mother-in-law not liking the daughter-in-law even exist? The answer to that question is also explained by patriarchy. It's because it's believed that men are the main characters of the universe and that women will continue to fight for their attention. Because women have nothing better to do with their life than to fight for the attention of men, apparently. The next time you watch a movie, especially a Bollywood movie, notice how the male lead is always the lead of the movie. Women are usually supporting characters. Sometimes they're not even that. They're just used in an overly sexualized item song, and that's it. Patriarchy wants people to believe that women should keep fighting for the attention of men. And that's what happens in these family dynamics as well. Because one day, if the Sas and Bahu become friends and start liking each other, they might team up and realize that they are actually responsible for the smooth functioning of the whole household. Because let's be honest, the type of men that exist in patriarchal families have no cooking skills. How would they concentrate at work if they had to worry about groceries and cooking meals for themselves? We often talk about how homemakers are dependent on their husbands. We call them dependents. What we don't ever talk about is how dependent their husbands are on them as well. They're helpless without their wives because nobody ever expected them to know how to run a house. If the women of the house realized how much power they actually hold, they would get more confident in their abilities. They might even realize their true value, which is usually not acknowledged. And they might end up taking real control. They might even start a business together and no longer need the men to bring the money. Because according to the patriarchal society, the only role a man plays in a family is earning money. What do you think would happen if the Sass was actually an entrepreneur? Would she still feel insecure that her daughter in law is going to become more important than her? Nope. She would actually be too busy at work to think about all of these things. But then who would pamper the little son? Who would make him fresh dokla and massage his feet? Do you see what I'm saying? The Saas Bahu fights actually benefit the men. They get pampered. Their pampering just increases because if two women are fighting over who pampers them better, of course their pampering will increase. Why would they speak against this? I understand that things are not so black and white either. A lot of husbands are actually affected by these Saas Bahu fights. They feel like they're getting pulled from both ends. And I'm sure it's difficult to choose between your mother and your wife. But the truth is that regardless of what the society tells you, you do not have to choose between your mother and your wife. Just like a woman does not have to choose between her husband and her father. These two relationships are completely different. Your relationship with your mother is completely different from your relationship with your wife. You can take care of both your mother and your wife without having to prioritize one of them. You don't have to make any sacrifices either. Unless you're on a boat and you have to throw one of the people to survive, you're not going to have to choose between your mother and your wife. Both relationships are important. I'm not going to say equally important because there is literally no comparison.
आई थिंक इट्स डिपेंड ऑन सिचुएशन, कैसे हम मतलब सिचुएशन होती है यार, ऐसा थोड़ी है कि मतलब मदर बीमार है तो वाइफ को नहीं देखेंगे, ऐसा कुछ ऐसा थोड़ी। सिचुएशन पे डिपेंड करता है, 50-50 दोनों को देना चाहिए, क्योंकि वो भी तो यार अपना घर छोड़ के आ रही है, वो भी तो अपने मदर को छोड़ के आ रही है।
आफ्टर मैरिज ना एक हस्बैंड को वाइफ को प्रायोरिटी देनी चाहिए, क्योंकि देखो शी लेफ्ट फॉर मेनी थिंग्स। उसको छोड़ के जब वो हमारे पास आती है तो ना शी इज ऑलमोस्ट ब्लैंक। उसको ये समझाना बहुत जरूरी है कि भाई आई एम योर्स, सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है।
That second man is nice. Not because he prioritizes his wife over his mother. I disagree with that part. But it's nice of him to acknowledge how difficult it is for a woman to leave everything in her life and move into your house with your parents. Not many people recognize that. Also, there is a very popular but factually incorrect theory in psychology because of this man. He's Sigmund Freud. He came up with a theory called Oedipus complex, which says that in childhood, a son loves his mother and has sexual desire for her. Yes, a child for his mother. That all sons feel jealous of their father and are closer to their mother because they're attracted to them and see them as their partner. And they're scared that their father will cut their pee-pee off.
What?
I'm not even making this up. This is a real theory. I have read a lot of his theories and books. I read them as part of my academics, but also because I was curious. I have no idea what he was thinking and how he came up with all this. But unfortunately, this theory became super popular. We still learn it even at school level when you study psychology in class 11 and class 12. I think it became popular because of how ridiculous it sounded. I mean, I'm sure it caught your attention when I said it. And unfortunately, ridiculous things always catch attention. And somehow I feel like this theory has seeped into our lives. People often talk about his theories when they try to explain why a mother-in-law doesn't like her daughter-in-law. That because there is some special bond between the son and the mother. Thankfully, a lot of people actually criticize Sigmund Freud and his theories as well. Because his theory was literally based on no proper research. His research methodologies were extremely flawed and fairly inaccurate. You might be like, I have noticed sons being close to their mothers. You are right. Sons are closer to their mothers than they are to their fathers. So are daughters. They're closer to their mothers as well. It's because men are usually the ATM machines of the family. Fathers are usually not a very big part of the daily upbringing in parenting. I know you're going to say that I'm obsessed with patriarchy, but this is also because of patriarchy. It's because men are expected to just be unemotional and just earn money for the family. Parenting is seen as a job that only a woman should be doing. Of course, there are exceptions, but I'm talking about the general norms. If you see fathers being super involved in the upbringing of their children, people applaud that because it's like an exception, it's not the norm. It's something different. See, this is what I meant by I don't make everything about patriarchy, but the society does. And it's important that we acknowledge that, because once we acknowledge that, only then will there be any change. If we just assume everything is fine and that patriarchy doesn't exist or affect our daily life to such an extent, nobody will question it or see that there are other ways of living. There is no need to choose between your wife and your mother. And if somebody is asking you to choose, tell them that's a horrible question to ask and that they need to ask better questions. I also saw this tweet recently. On the left side is a picture of what it's like when a mother is there at home, and on the right side is a picture of what it's like when a mother is not there at home. Because apparently grown men don't know how to do things in the kitchen. So you're telling me you apparently know how to run entire countries, you understand the stock market, you understand cryptocurrency, you know how to do an engineering degree, but making a proper meal for yourself? Oh no, I don't know how to do it because I'm a man. I need my wife or mother to do that. What would people like this do if their mother and their wife actually teamed up and had a business together? These men would have to learn how to make their own food. They don't want to do that. And that's why they will never say anything if their wife is getting mistreated. Okay, I guess we've come to the end of this video. I hope you understood what I'm trying to say. Let me know what you think. I always find it really awkward to say this, but make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, and yeah, everything this video. Goodbye.